is held in a velvet silence as the stars begin to fade into the soft, misty gray of an early dawn. And inside the quiet stone courtyard of the castle, the air is perfectly still and cool. A thin veil of mist clings to the cobblestones like a dream, and the only sound is the faint, rhythmic rustle of feathers as a bird stirs on its high perch. The air carries the scent of damp earth and old stone, and everything feels safe, anchored in a moment of absolute peace. You are invited now to let your own breath slow down, to match the steady, quiet pulse of the sleeping birds, and to drift away into the gentle, repetitive motions of the falconer's day. Let the cold morning air wrap around you like a soft blanket as we enter this quiet space where you may truly rest. Chapter 1. The falconer stirs in his small, quiet room long before the sun has thought to crest the distant, sleeping hills. His eyes opening slowly to the familiar sight of the heavy oak beams above his head, and he feels a deep, heavy sense of calm as he pushes back the thick wool blankets to stand on the cool, solid floorboards of his room. He dresses in the dim light, his fingers moving with a quiet and practiced memory over the soft linen of his tunic and the worn leather of his belt. And the house remains entirely silent around him, a stillness that feels like a physical presence, pressing gently and kindly against his skin as he moves toward the wooden table where his tools are kept. He walks with soft, rhythmic footsteps across the room, the transition from sleep to work marked by the cool touch of the air and the faint, clean scent of the leather that waits for him. In the center of the room stands the heavy, multi-layered glove made of thick cowhide, its surface scarred and smoothed by years of use. And the falconer reaches for it with a slow and deliberate motion, feeling the weight of the leather in his palm and the coolness of the hide against his skin. He begins the slow and meditative task of oiling the leather, taking a small pot of tallow and rubbing it into the seams in a repetitive, circular motion that requires no thought at all, just the steady rise and fall of his arm. Slide, rub, turn. Slide, rub, turn. And he finds himself lost in the sensation, his mind becoming as quiet and still as the room itself. The oil makes the leather dark and supple, and as he works, he feels the vibration of the wood beneath the table, a low and steady hum that seems to travel up his arms and settle in his chest, making him feel grounded and safe. He repeats this process with the hoods, those small and intricate leather caps that keep the birds calm, and he runs his thumb over the smooth surfaces, feeling the tiny, delicate stitches and the soft silk of the lining that will rest against the falcon's head. He lays them out in a neat, orderly row on the table, where they catch the first pale the slow and beautiful craft of the muse. Next comes the jesses, the thin strips of leather that will hold the bird to his hand, and he pulls them through his fingers to ensure they are strong and soft. The leather making a faint, dry rustle, like the sound of fallen leaves in an autumn forest. He checks the swivels and the small silver bells, the metal feeling cold and heavy in his palm, and he shakes them once just to hear the tiny musical chime that echoes softly through the silence, a sound that is as bright and clear as a drop of water falling into a still pool. The air in the room is starting to warm as he stirs the few embers in the hearth, his movements slow and deliberate, pushing the glowing coals together with a small iron rod that scrapes softly against the brick, creating a low, metallic hum that vibrates through the quiet air. He feels the coolness of the morning air as he opens the heavy oak door, and the mist from the courtyard drifts in, touching his face like a damp cloth. And he stands there for a long minute, just breathing in the stillness and the smell of the damp earth and the old stone. There is no hurry, no urgency to the dawning day, only the slow transition from the silence of sleep to the silence of work, a transition marked by the weight of the glove on his arm and the rhythmic sound of his own breathing. He feels the texture of the woolen cloak he wraps around his shoulders, the fabric heavy and warm, and he adjusts the hood so it rests lightly against his neck, a comforting weight that keeps the chill at bay. He looks at the tools one last time, the bells and the hoods and a leather, all glowing in the candlelight, and he feels a heavy, sleepy warmth spreading through his limbs, a reward for the steady labor of his hands and the patience of his heart. The room is a sanctuary, a place where time has slowed down to the pace of a heartbeat, and as he prepares to enter the world of the birds, he lets his thoughts drift away, becoming as soft and blurred as the edges of the light on the wall, and he is content to be still and quiet in the heart of the morning. Chapter 2. The sun has climbed a little higher, casting a warm, buttery light across the stone walls of the mews. In the Falconer begins the long and meditative process of caring for the great hawk that sits on its high wooden perch, his hands moving slowly and deliberately through the cool, dim air. He approaches the bird with a quiet and respectful grace, his footsteps making a soft, rhythmic thud on the floor. And he speaks in a low, wordless hum that is meant to soothe and settle, a sound that is as steady and calming as the wind in the trees. The falcon stirs, its feathers making a soft, rustling sound, like like the turning of a page in an old book. And the falconer reaches out his gloved hand, allowing the bird to step onto the thick leather with a series of tiny, sharp clicks of its talons. He feels the weight of the bird on his arm, a solid and living pressure that is both heavy and light at the same time. And he begins to stroke the feathers of the bird's chest with the back of his hand, a slow and repetitive motion that feels like the swaying of tall grass in a summer breeze. Stroke, pause, breathe. Stroke, pause, breathe. And he finds a quiet joy in the connection between man and bird. The feathers are cool and smooth, like polished silk, and as he works, he checks the bird's beak and its eyes, his movements fluid and soft, ensuring that everything is as it should be in the quiet world of the muse. He attaches the leather jesses to the swivel with a slow and practiced twist of his fingers, the leather sliding easily through the metal rings, and he feels the steady pulse of the bird through the thick glove, a heartbeat that is fast and light against the slow, deep rhythm of his own. Once the bird is ready, he steps out of the mews and into the open air of the castle grounds, the transition marked by the warmth of the sun on his face and the scent of the fresh, green grass that grows along the path. He begins to walk toward the wide, rolling fields that lie beyond the walls, his boots pressing into the soft earth with a rhythmic and grounding sound that echoes the beat of the morning. And he moves with a slow and measured pace, never rushing, for the day is long and the world is at peace. He walks through the long grass of the meadow, the green blades brushing against his legs with a soft, shushing sound that is like the whisper of the tide against a sandy shore. And he watches as the mist begins to lift from the valley, revealing a landscape of soft greens and hazy blues that stretches out toward the horizon. The falcon sits perfectly still on his arm, its head turning slowly as it watches the world. And the falconer feels a deep sense of belonging as he moves through the fields, a part of the earth, in the sky, in the silent, flying things. He finds a small, flat stone near a stream and sits down for a moment, the water making a low, trickling sound as it flows over the rocks. And he simply exists in the stillness, watching the way the light catches the ripples and the way the birds in the trees sing their quiet morning songs. He does not seek to hunt, nor does he seek to hurry, for today is a day of care and connection, a day for walking and breathing and being a part of the quiet world. He feels the warmth of the sun soaking into his cloak, making his limbs feel loose and relaxed. And the scent of the crushed herbs beneath his boots rises up to meet him, a mixture of mint and wild thyme that clears his head and settles his spirit. The field is a sea of quiet, a place where the noise of the castle cannot reach, and he is content to stay in this one spot for as long as the bird requires, a guardian of the sky who finds his greatest joy in in the simple act of being present and still. He strokes the bird's feathers once more, the sound of the wind in the wings, a soft and ghostly flute that adds to the music of the meadow. And he feels a profound sense of gratitude for the quiet life he leads, for the birds that fly, and the fields that grow, and the silence that listens. The hours pass in a blur of soft light and repetitive steps, a cycle of walking and resting that keeps him anchored in the present moment. And he feels his thoughts drifting away like the white clouds in the sky, becoming as light and aimless as the breeze. Chapter 3. The afternoon sun has begun its long and lazy slide toward the horizon, the light in the fields turning from gold to a deep, warm amber. And the falconer feels a gentle, sleepy fatigue beginning to settle into his bones, a warm and pleasant tiredness that tells him the work of the day is done. He begins the final, quiet journey back toward the castle, his footsteps making a soft, rhythmic thud on the path as the shadows grow long and thin across the grass, stretching out like tired limbs toward the cooling earth. He returns to the mews, the air inside now cool and shadowed, and he carefully settles the falcon back onto its high wooden perch, his movements slow and graceful as he unfastens the jesses and removes the heavy leather glove. He feels the release of the weight from his arm, a light and tingling sensation that makes his muscles feel loose and relaxed. And he takes a moment to clean the glove with the soft cloth, wiping away the dust of the fields and the oil of the day until the leather is clean and dark once more. He places the glove on its wooden peg, the sound of it hitting the wall, a quiet and final thump in the stillness of the room. And he turns his attention to the bird, ensuring it has water and a quiet space to rest through the coming night. The world outside is growing quiet now, the first stars beginning to twinkle in the vast, quiet sky. And the falconer feels a profound sense of peace as he walks back to his own small room, his movements quiet and respectful of the silence that has fallen over the castle walls. He enters his room and feels the softness of the evening air on his face, a cool and refreshing breeze that carries the scent of the sleeping garden and the damp stone. And he moves with a slow and fluid grace as he prepares for his own rest. He unbuckles his belt and removes his heavy cloak, the fabric feeling soft and cool as it slides through his hands. And he stands for a moment, just breathing in the quiet of the room, listening to the small sounds of the castle as it settles for the night. He walks to his small cot in the corner, a simple bed of straw and wool that feels more inviting than any palace. And he sits down to pull off his boots, the release of pressure making his feet feel light and warm. He lies back against the straw, the rustle of the bedding, a dry reminds him of the harvest and the sun, and he pulls the thick blankets up to his chin, tucking them in until he is perfectly encased in a world of softness and safety. The light in the room is now a pale, cool blue, the first rays of the moon filtering through the small window and painting a silver rectangle on the stone floor. And the shadows have retreated to the corners, leaving the center of the room clear and quiet. He feels his eyes growing heavy, the lids falling of their own weight, and he does not try to fight the sleep that is washing over him like a warm, dark tide, pulling him down into the depths of a deep and dreamless rest. His breathing becomes slow and shallow, a gentle rise and fall of his chest that matches the peace he has felt all through the long day. And he feels himself drifting away from the world of leather and birds and stone. He is no longer the falconer, but a man of rest, a man of sleep, who has done his work and now claims his reward in the silence of the night. The scent of the fields still lingers in his hair and on his skin, a faint and comforting reminder of the grass and the sky, and he feels as though he is still walking through the long meadow, the bird heavy on his arm and the sun warm on his back. He feels the house around him, a sturdy shell of stone and timber, protecting him from the wind and the night, and he sinks deeper into the softness of the bed, his mind becoming a blank and peaceful slate. The day is over, the birds are sleeping, and the world is exactly as it should be, safe and still under the watch of the stars. Sleep now. Sleep. Sleep.